So did you ever do something that you know you're going to regret, but you do it anyway? Well, that's kind of how I feel about the bottle that I'm going to review right now. We're going to review Wild Turkey Longbranch 86 proof. So full disclosure, I have nobody to blame but myself if I don't like this, because I've gotten all the warnings from so many people, both on TikTok, just hearing around, things I've read. Everyone says, love all the Wild Turkey products except this one. And I've known this for a while. I've never had this, and I have every reason not to have spent the $40 or so to buy this, but I did it anyway, just because I'm darn curious to see it myself, and I know I'm going to regret it, but here we are. So this is Wild Turkey Longbranch, 86 proof. It is, I believe it's the second lowest of the Wild Turkey products. The lowest is the 80 or 81 proof of the very base Wild Turkey, and then you have this 86 proof. I think like the Russell's Reserve 10 is 90, and then you have the 101 that goes from there. But so already this is definitely a lower proof than I'm really drinking right now, but really curious. So let's just get this curiosity out of my system, and let's just go. So this was released in, I believe, 2018 by Wild Turkey. It's not officially age stated, but everything in their original press releases on this, and since then, says this is about 8 years aged. Mash bill, I believe, is the regular mash bill of Wild Turkey, 75% corn, 13% rye, 12% malted barley. As I mentioned, as far as price, this is $44 by me in New Jersey. Certainly, probably similar like a Basil Hayden. Kind of, you feel it's a little overpriced with something that's relatively low proof. Basil Hayden being even worse at 80 proof. This is 86 proof. So what this is, and as many people know, this is a collaboration of actor Matthew McConaughey and master distiller Eddie Russell. It was inspired by Matthew McConaughey's Texas roots, and as it says here, it's refined with oak and Texas mesquite charcoal. And unlike Wild Turkey's other expressions, this is charcoal filtered. It's a two-step process. I believe first it's filtered with the charcoal from American oak, and then it is filtered with charcoal made from Texas mesquite wood. Now, I love barbecue. I love mesquite. I love all that stuff. So on the one hand, if I didn't hear anything else, this would sound very, very good. But I'm going to try to keep an open mind. We're going to pour this up. I can already see I like the cork, so we got one good thing going. Let's get this started. Here we go. What a nice cork this is. Okay, so we have that poured up. That was actually a really good cork pop, and as I mentioned, I really like that cork. All right, so that's a good start. So to me, it looks a little on the light side. Nothing crazy. Let me just give this a nose. That's an odd smell to it, I will tell you that right now. All right, let's just get right into the taste. Cheers. It's just, like the first impression, I guess, get a rather thin mouthfeel on this. A little thinner than the regular, say, Wild Turkey profile. Okay, well, I do pick up a Wild Turkey profile, but it's a little muted. It's a little different than the regular Wild Turkey profile, I'll say that. I will say that I'm getting, going into this, when I hear the words mesquite, Texas mesquite, I'm thinking Texas barbecue, that kind of a flavor, some spice. I'm getting that at the end. I'm getting at the second half of the mouthfeel into the finish. I don't even know what I have floating in here, but in any event, I don't know what this is. Let's just hold on one sec. Okay, that was weird. I don't know if it was like a piece of cork or something like that, but in any event, all right, let's continue. Let's give this one more taste. All right, so again, getting the Wild Turkey profile, a lighter version of it. I know in the regular Wild Turkey, the 80 or 81 proof, I know that's rather thin. That's the way kind of this feels, being only 6 proof points over that. So I get the profile, I'm getting the spice, second half of the palate, into the finish. I guess here's the deal. I guess going into what I'm expecting, because I've heard such terrible things. I'm not saying this is good or really, really good or anything like that. But, you know, when you have this idea in your head, my God, this is going to be bad if I could even get through this review. It's not to that point. Let's just, full disclosure, it's not to the point of where I can't drink this. I've tasted far worse. Believe me, I've tasted far worse than this. All I have to do is look to my right side of the bar, the fistful of bourbon. But at the same time, it's if I didn't hear anything and I heard oak and Texas mesquite, barbecue, spice, I would be thinking of something a lot better than this also. What I want to do, just for comparison, because this is only 4 proof points higher and 2 years older, I may do this just right now, and then another time just may do blind. The Russell's 10 year. Let me just pour that up. I want to have it side by side. Okay, so I have the Russell's 10 poured up, and just for full disclosure, I myself personally, I like this. I happen to think when I did a blind with the both the Russell's single barrel and especially the Russell's the private selection single barrel, I thought the private selection was definitely better than this. So this, and also the other thing, this is 90 proof. So, you know, when you compare it to the higher proof, like a Russell's private selection or even the rare breed, I just find those much better. So this is actually a good comparison. I'm going to do this now. I think I may do this in a blind at another time, but I just want to kind of get that true wild turkey profile back in my head and my taste buds. So let's give the Russell's 10 a nose. And now a taste. Cheers. Okay, so there's definitely more deeper wild turkey profile color. Longbranch, Russell's, thought maybe the Russell's. I thought maybe the Longbranch was a drop lighter, but let me just do a side-by-side Longbranch. And the Russell's 10. All right, so move that aside, stick back to this. I think this is thinner. They both have the wild turkey profile comes through stronger on the Russell's 10, even though it's only 4 proof points, 4 proof points higher. So let me just take one more taste. I'll give you my final analysis on this. So this is the deal. I went into this thinking that I'm going to absolutely be just not even be able to finish this review. No, it's not to that point. At least this is my opinion. I don't think that this is as bad as, you know, I have heard. I certainly don't think this is anything that's great. I know this is a one-time purchase for me. I can easily say that. There's no doubt about it. I'm not going to be buying this again. I can't see myself doing that, at least just in my first blush. What I think is that this probably would be a lot more acceptable if this was at a lower price point. This is a 86 proof for, you know, mid-40s and maybe higher in other places. And it just doesn't have as much of that true, you know, Texas barbecue mesquite that I would be thinking when I heard this. It's there. It's at the back end. But, you know, it's so again, I think it's a little bit expensive for what it is. I wish it had a little bit more of the spice, but it is not as bad as I thought going in. At the same time, I can see why so many people do say it's something different than the rest of the wild turkey products. And I definitely get that. A lot of celebrity endorsed whiskeys are like that. There's very few, or even spirits in general, very few that are good. So not as bad as I thought going in, but definitely not something that's great. Probably not something I'm going to buy again, but I'm going to get more into this. I might do a blind with the Russell's 10. So sort of a mixed review, but definitely not something that is my favorite. Just not as bad as I expected going in. Cheers.